Everyone relax. Oh, whips. Everyone relax. This is TOFOP. I'm Charlie Clausen.
I'm Wil Anderson. Hello, and thank you for watching. And by the way, if you are watching, you just saw the
Once
most
again.
aggressive.
Yeah.
Like, that was a real, as if I were on
Aircraft carrier.
an aircraft carrier and I was really having to belt it out, my communications, and you weren't expecting it.
No.
And you reacted as if I was going to start this podcast by punching you in the face.
Well, because
You
it was
really
so
just-
aggressive.
Yeah.
Like a hand's
But
flying
even
towards
from
my
where I
face.
am, I think you're in a safe distance. It would involve me, like, to actually hit your face from
Try
where
it.
we, like,
you got good reach.
like
Oh, no, you couldn't. You could swipe
without
at me.
getting into
Extend
the
your fingers.
microphone.
Try and slap me. Oh, yeah. Can't reach you either.
Yeah.
Like, if we got really pissed off,
Do you
and just
reckon
got
they
into a slap
designed this
battle,
for like radio, shows that can't get along
what
with
if-
each other?
Who's
and
the
they're like,
tallest listener personality?
oh yeah, who's the tallest person in podcasting?
Like that Luke Darcy.
Luke Darcy's pretty tall. He's
yeah,
taller than
he'd
me.
have reach.
What? Oh, yeah, okay. So Luke
What,
Darcy,
Howie,
he does.
is he tall?
Howie's no. I mean, Howie's not as short as you'd expect him to be. But he's not quite my height.
Yeah.
But
I don't know.
who'd be
What
taller
about
than that? They've got
any
some other
podcasters?
footballers. But most of their footballers that they have on air.
I mean, the problem with all
Max Gorn does some stuff on the Triple M network.
Yeah,
Would he'd be taller than Dars?
I'm thinking more exclusive podcasters though, and I
Ah.
think of all the big podcasters
Yeah.
on the listener network.
Who is the biggest podcaster?
Well, probably Abby, right? Like Abby or any of
no,
those.
I mean, who is the biggest
the tallest.
podcast? Like, that's
Who's the
because
biggest
that's
podcaster?
interesting. Like,
Could
who's
that
the,
be our
yeah,
point of difference?
right? That we're the tallest.
Tallest podcast.
So we start doing
collectively,
this
because I'm average height. We've established
No,
that.
but we start doing this like two kids in a trench coat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so it's the world's tallest podcast.
Okay, so we do that for one of the podcasts that we do without the other. So
Yeah.
Philosophy,
Mhm.
next Philosophy you record, I'll sit on your shoulders and
Yeah.
you just put an overcoat. Oh, no,
Yeah.
it doesn't work because people are coming to see you. You've got this, oh no, it's going to be hard.
Oh, no.
You've got to get on my shoulders.
Hang on.
We put an
How was it
overcoat.
easier when you were on my shoulders?
Well, because I'm lighter
It was
than you.
easier for you.
Well, yeah,
the
but
shoulder
you're-
sitter.
but you're heavy.
It's
You put
always
the
easier
smaller
for the
guy-
shoulder sitter.
But you put the smaller guy on the
But you're
shoulders.
not even that much smaller. What do you weigh?
Like 80 kilos?
Yeah, I weigh like 82, 83
You
kilos.
do not weigh 83.
Absolutely, 100% the case.
Really?
Yeah, because I got no muscles.
I guess it's all just
You're
baggy
all like,
clothing.
yeah, it's like, and baggy skin over a skeleton. It's like a fat bag of skin over a skeleton. Like, it doesn't actually weigh that much.
Yeah, I guess you're
Right? Whereas
Bag
like
of
yours
bones.
is all full of like lumps.
Yeah,
You're
little
like-
lumps,
you're
little
like-
heavy lumps.
Your skin is full of lumps, whereas mine's full of like
My lovely
just an ooze
Charlie lumps.
that like kind of
A goo that kind of more
Yeah.
or less holds the bones
like
in
someone
shape.
who tried to make a chicken sausage without taking the bones out. That's what my body looks like.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So you don't think you think you going on my shoulders would probably be because I do
What's
strength.
equal?
I do strength.
What
but
we've
I do
just worked
strength
out
training.
from that is, oh yeah, so you're better.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, you're in a much better position.
makes-
Plus, I have bad hips
and also
and a
people
bad back.
and people are coming in to do philosophy.
Carry
so
me.
It's gonna-
Finally, you carrying me.
Yeah. It's going to be your face because it's your
Uh-huh.
podcast. Okay, so
Right.
do you word up, the guest that's coming in
Mm-hmm.
that this is what the deal is going to be? Like we'll be in place. I'll
Mhm.
be sitting down. You've climbed on. We've got
Yeah.
a step ladder in. You've climbed on my shoulders. Amy's brought an overcoat in,
Uh-huh.
wrapped it round. You're just sitting there.
Yep.
And then let's say it's a big name guest. Like who's your dream philosophy guest? Like comedian, right? Like a Patton Oswalt
yeah,
or someone like that.
I mean, like that's I think the only person that we could debut this with, like, and this is, I'm not saying this person is my absolute dream, but definitely in my sort of top 5, top 10 guests I would love to have on the podcast. But I think particularly appropriate for what we're about to do, a person who would get it, who would understand it.
Yeah.
Kevin Smith.
Oh yeah.
If we ever got Kevin Smith on philosophy, because it would be sad to not have you part of that anyway, right?
Yeah.
Like this started because of Smodcast. So if Kevin Smith comes on philosophy, I get on your shoulders, Amy puts a massive overcoat on,
Yeah.
and then I go in and like interview.
And do you
Kevin
run
Smith.
it like a normal philosophy,
I don't mention it.
or do I? Okay, so am I whispering stuff to you to ask him, or do I get to open the
Interesting.
coat and occasionally say something like Quatto from Total Recall?
Yeah, I reckon Quatto. I reckon
Halfway
the
through
Quatto
the
option. He doesn't. You just
Stick my face
unbutton, stick your face out.
Go to Mars.
There's another microphone there. You know, like when someone's going to play
Yeah,
the guitar
yeah.
and they set up 2 microphones. So there's another microphone there, a shorter microphone that's at your face height, but at the moment you're concealed by the trench coat.
Mm.
So when I sit down, I'm like, "G'day, Kevin."
And you know the good thing about that is for a large portion of Kevin Smith's career, he wore that trench
Yeah.
coat, that Silent Bob trench coat. That was his thing. So
Great.
initially,
Yeah, he'll think that's fun.
yeah, it's a
I come
tribute.
in Silent Bob style.
Fake beard,
Fake beard.
baseball cap on backwards,
Uh-huh.
snoogans to the noogans or whatever. He doesn't
So,
really talk. So.
Then I take off the beard and the cap.
Yeah.
Like they come off, reveal actual me. Trench coat stays on
Yeah.
until about like whenever you feel like you want to ask a question. There's this little microphone that's down there the whole time, creating some sort of expectation. You open it up, but you're dressed as Jay.
Jay.
Yeah, you
right.
come out
Snoogans.
Jason Mewes style, long hair, pop out.
Do
and
you
ask your
think there's
question.
any chance in the world that
Uh-huh.
if he hadn't met you or he hadn't done any research, like his publicist books it and that he comes in and just sees this enormous
Yeah.
guy sitting there that he just for a second goes, oh man, this guy's huge.
Yeah.
Like I can understand why he's such a popular
Mm.
comedian down here. Like look at him, he's a freak.
Yeah, he's
I'd pay money to see that.
Yeah, it's a podcast though, so you're just listening to him. I want to
Yeah,
listen
but he
to
would
the tallest
know.
man.
He would
Yeah,
know.
I understand.
He would know that you're also a comedian. and a
Yeah,
TV
that's
host
right.
and
He's
stuff.
huge in Australia.
But do you think that he would straight away go, there's another person under
Mm.
there? I mean, like how high would it get? So let's say
Mhm.
I'm here, so you're
We'd
about
probably
4.
have to get Amy to say beforehand.
He's enormous. He's got
He's an-
gigantism. Would
just
you be willing to
please
do that?
don't.
Yeah, I'll put like, when we book guests and I'm giving them all the
Mhm.
details of like,
Yeah.
this is where you need to be and when.
Oh,
and
yeah.
also, by the way, the host is 7'8".
Enormous.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
or whatever.
please don't mention it.
Please
He's
don't mention it.
incredibly
Yeah,
self-conscious
don't bring it
about
up.
Don't bring it up. It's definitely not 2 guys in one trench coat.
Don't ask him to open the trench coat.
Yeah, whatever you do, don't mention the second microphone. Maybe we don't have the second microphone there. Maybe you've got your own microphone, so when you pop out,
Yeah, I'm
you
ready to
pop out
go.
with a mic.
Yep, Snoogans. I mean, he's already had one heart attack. Let's see if we can.
Oh,
give
yeah,
him
that
a
is a
second.
risk. Actually, you know what? It's a risk we kill Kevin Smith with this, and this is now tough to explain to the cops. So what was happening?
Well, we've got lucky we're cameras everywhere, and if you subscribe to our Patreon, you can see exactly what happens in this studio. Big news in the Clausen household: we got a puppy.
Oh my!
We got
God,
a
that is big
new
news.
dog. A little. Her name is Rosebud.
Rosebud.
Name chosen by Iona. I think.
Because that was the name of her sled.
I think so.
Yeah.
And she wants to go on to have a media empire. So, and this will be the one thing that some childhood motif that she forgets about until her deathbed. She's really thought out her whole life. That's what I like about Iona. She thinks of the big picture. I think it was more because when Mum was a little girl, she had a horse called Rosie. And so Iona, kids get fixated on specific names. So once they like a name, every toy, everything becomes that name. So everything's been Rosie for a long, long time. And then when we told her we were getting a dog and that she was going to get to name it, like it was initially Rosie, but then to our surprise, she added the bud on the end and it just became Rosebud. And then I was like, oh, that's cool. Because that's not that I dislike Rosie, but I'm like, my sister had a dog called Rosie, and I feel like, I don't know. I mean, I know lots of people have pets with the same name, but you want to be original, right? I feel like I can't name my dog the same name as my sister's dog.
I mean, your sister's dog still.
No.
Well, it could be a
A
tribute.
tribute. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like naming yourself after a grandparent. Or
Yeah,
something
that's
like
right.
that.
So I
Yeah.
think in that situation, like I think if the original Rosie was still on the circuit, and then you come along as a whole lot of Rosie, the Rosie cover act.
I
then
played
think,
that.
Yeah.
I played that when she got to the house, a whole lot of Rosie. Then I'm sitting in the lyrics and I'm like, is this about a girl who sleeps with a lot of dudes? I don't know if this is appropriate to be playing.
Now, so Bud because of marijuana
No, Rosebud
lives
just
in that
because
part of the world.
I don't-
Probably, gets on the Rosebud.
I don't.
Where does Bud come from? Or is it just like Bud like Buddy?
She just likes the name.
Or just name
she-
Rosebud.
she
But where
likes the
she
name
heard
Rosebud.
Rosebud?
I don't know, probably from daycare or something like that. I started calling the dog Buddy because I like Rosie, but like I said, I've got weird connections because of my sister's dog. So I've started calling it Buddy. And, like when I had Junior had lots of nicknames as well, like Juju, Juniper. That's it. Two nicknames.
You're very creative.
Yeah.
As usual, another
Improv masterclass.
Studied at Gaulier, which is a clown school, so didn't teach you much about improv.
But I do like the idea of her having two names because then Iona started extrapolating. She was like, "Oh, her full name is Rosebud Cute McFerry Ears or something like that."
Good. Yeah.
I said that's too obvious. Like, let's give her a like a stronger kind of more bold name. We haven't decided on what that will be yet.
Yeah, no,
but
you
I
should
do like the
definitely
idea of
dampen your daughter's creativity. That's
I do all the time.
no. You lower your expectations a bit.
Well, I just figured it's not. If anything, it's
But you can
it's more
change your middle
expanding.
names. You're not doing paperwork.
I'm just saying, don't be
or
obvious.
documentation.
Hey,
Like Rosebud, and then middle names can change all the time. Her middle
Yeah.
names can be whatever.
Cutie Pie,
Yeah, exactly.
Cutie Pie, Pup.
Again, what a masterclass.
No, this
you're
is not
putting
me.
on.
This is
Oh,
my
this is
owner's
your
suggestions.
Iona.
Like it's
Okay,
all
right.
pup, cutie, cute
all right,
puppy,
sorry.
variations on cute and dog and pup.
Yeah, that's okay. But she'll develop
Mm.
as the years go on.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing too. Is I'm waiting to see her personality, and it's weird too because I had this loyalty to Junior, and it wasn't like he's the only dog I'll ever love. But if you visit our house, there are more framed photos of Junior than
Yep.
of Gemma and I. There are more photos of Junior than Gemma and I on our wedding day in
Yeah.
our house. Like that.
That's because, like, Gemma and you can take photos and Junior couldn't take photos.
That's true.
So-
But there were people at our wedding who could take
Yes.
photos, and those photos exist. But I think it was like we loved that dog, and he was so important to us. We got him right at the start of our relationship. He lasted pretty much the whole time that we were together. And then Iona it was like a tagged in and tagged out.
By that you mean, of course, that was just a funny way to say that. You are still together.
We are still together.
Yes.
Sorry, I meant
But
he was
did-
there the
yes,
whole time.
Yes, that's right.
He
His whole life was part of your relationship.
part of our relationship, Junior. And so it wasn't that I never wanted another dog, but it was always like, I don't know that I'm something the same way with kids as well. It's like I love my kid, but
Yeah.
don't
You
necessarily like other people's
Nah.
kids. It's like I like mine, but I'm not one of these like open-hearted people who just loves everyone. And same with dogs. It's like
Your kid and your dog do a whole bunch of things that I think it's perfectly reasonable not to enjoy in other people.
exactly.
The fact that you love your kid or your dog is why you are willing to live with those. Those things are still unpleasant.
Yeah.
Like
the only thing that stops you from like throttling them is the fact that they're, you've seen
that
you've been
they're
there
yours,
for all the
that
and they're
you love
yours,
them,
but you've
that
also
you
seen
understand them,
exactly.
you care for them.
Yeah.
There's a social contract of some kind.
I understand that everyone has their own story and stuff. I just
yeah.
don't care for it.
No, that's right. They've got to get their own people and deal with their own shit.
Yeah, exactly.
We're dealing with what's going on right here, right now.
So I was a bit reluctant, but Jem sort of got on.
But it's been a while now.
Oh yeah. So when did Junior die? Like 2019. So 5 years. It'll be 5 years in September, and we wanted a companion for Iona because she's getting older now, and she most likely will probably not get another sibling. So it's like she has a companion. But Jem was very much on the case of like I want to find the right dog for Iona's personality because there was a litter born not far from us, bunch of working dogs, like border collies.
Santo.
Yeah,
Rob,
yeah, Tommy
Jane,
Gleisner,
Tom.
Jane. So we went and checked out this litter, and they were gorgeous pups and stuff. And we did. Gemma and I went and met the pups first, and then we took Iona. But I was sort of watching the dogs, and I'm like, oh man, we don't like. They need room. Like they were coming from a farm. And high energy and stuff. And I was looking at Iona, and like even with this pup, it was a lot to handle. And so we said we need to get like a dog that's more suited for where we live, the kind of house we have, and also the kind of child we have. And so Jem, this is what she's great at, is just like research and comparing breeds, watching videos, and talking to breeders and stuff. So she finally settled on cavoodles, which are I think they're the most popular breed going around at the moment because you get the sort of intelligence of a poodle, but then you get more of a lap dog
Mm.
with the King Charles
Yep.
kind of spaniel thing. And so you don't have to worry about them being like too rambunctious and also we have a lot of wildlife around where we live, lizards in the hedge, heaps of snakes.
Mhm.
If we got another Jack Russell, that thing he would either kill everything that was in the hedge or be killed by all the snakes.
Yeah, kill or be killed.
Yeah, kill or be
I mean,
killed.
that's an important lesson for Iona to learn as well.
Yeah. Maybe we should get lots. And also, I know our last tenants, they had a Jack Russell and they ended up having to rehome it because they said, because it's not a fenced in property. They're ratters, they look for movement and sound and they want to get out there and see what's going on. Junior was a bit of an exception because I remember when he was still a puppy, he killed a rat or a baby rat or a mouse. I remember he seemed so like horrified
What have I done?
what have I done?
What
like
the horrors of war.
yeah, he was like Lady
Yeah.
Macbeth. He was like,
Did
the
it
blood
once.
won't come
It's
out.
just, what is
What
this?
is-
What's inside me?
Yeah. And so he
Mm.
was never an aggressive dog after that. But it's interesting because I do remember him being a high anxiety dog when we first got him, like as a puppy, super anxious. And it just sort of goes to the ignorance, how we got him when we were early 20s. I think we bought him from a pet store.
Yep.
Clearly he'd been separated from his parents too early. So he had this high anxiety dog. who
Yeah,
was-
just didn't have an awareness of that probably wasn't the perfect circumstances for that dog.
didn't really
to
think
be
it
starting
through.
out.
I mean, funnily enough, Will, when you have animals in a pet store, it sort of leads to impulse buys.
yeah, I know. It's almost like why that's a massive problem.
Because it was interesting. So when we got this new pup who came from a breeder, and this woman had been like, the reason Jem said the reason she wanted to go to this woman was not just so much the dog, but speaking to the breeder, got a real sense of this woman, really loves her dogs and had taken care of them, and there was
Sure.
an expertise that was being passed on, and the difference has been so stark. Like Rosebud is so chill. Like she had like the right amount of time with her mum, so there was no sort of separation anxiety. But also like when Junior came into our house, there was just kind of, and maybe it's the breed as well, Jack Foxy, like the ratters, but just that kind of hypervigilance always. Whereas Rosebud is sort of like, she's like
Chill.
Snoop Dogg.
Just like,
yeah, she's just
whatever,
happy
whatever.
she's just like
Yeah.
in her bed. She gets up, like even toilet training is going pretty smoothly because we sort of, been a couple of accidents or whatever, but we showed her where the mat is and she's got the hang of that. Poo's sort of, still trying to get, this is where you should be pooing. But the rest of the time, she's just like, there are little bursts of energy where she's like, yeah, I want to play now. But then the rest of the time, she's like, I'm just gonna hang here. You guys, you do you. I'll be over here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's really interesting.
Just happy in her own company.
Happy, well, until it comes to bedtime.
Okay.
And then it's like, this is what we're trying to work out now is whether we do crate training, like, because we want her in her own bed. But from what I understand about, the socialization of dogs, it's kind of cruel to suddenly, oh, you sleep here away from the pack. Like puppies don't understand that, it's instinctive that they stay together, and the pack represents safety, protection, food.
Am I right in saying that you can crate train in your room though? Like you can
Yes.
actually train in the crate close to where you are.
Yeah, that's what there's
Yeah.
different schools of thought, but the thing I've been reading is like, yeah, give them a sight line to where you are so that they know. And then it's sort of an incremental introduction to the crate. So get them used to the crate. And we sort of went,
I do crate training, but I just take them to like really hip cafes and make them sit on milk crates. So
are
I'm
they
just like,
drinking
yeah.
water out of mason jars like we do here at Listener? Oh, the way it just pours down your throat so easily. No spill, no mess, no fuss.
Mason jars.
Mason jars.
Use
perfect
them for
drinking.
what they're not used, what they're not meant for. What are mason jars actually? Just side note, while
Jam.
we're
And
jam.
collecting fecal samples, as we've
All
been
right.
informed by our medical audience.
Okay, fecal samples and jam.
Jam. Yeah.
Mhm. All
Butter, almond butter, or nut butter. If you go to a
Nut
health
butter?
food store, you take a mason jar in and you refill your mason jar.
You whack it, your nut butter in your mason jar.
Yeah.
That feels like
Dirty.
does, doesn't it?
Like, there's got to be some club called the Mason Jar, right? Come squeeze out your nut butter.
Or just if they found some like murderer's like bedroom and then like there was just jars full of nut butter, mason jars full of nut butter. That's what alerted us, was all the mason jars full of nut butter.
It does feel like if it was Seven and they busted into Kevin Spacey's apartment. Well, I'm sure you'd find a lot of
horrible stuff. He's actually he's invented an extra sin.
Yeah.
There's 8 now.
His character from Seven, if you saw a shelf lined with mason jars, they're just like weird, like
that's
pig
creepy.
fetuses.
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
Whatever was in it would be weird.
Yeah, because you shouldn't hang on to mason jars. I was hanging on to all my mason jars for a while because...
For jam season, because you love a chutney.
Well, no, because I was trying to reduce my
carbon footprint.
Yeah, and I was like, and I do most of the cooking at home, and so I'm often getting ingredients, and I'm like, well, I got these pumpkin seeds, I can go on there, and so I do have a.
Do you ever go to like those kind of
health food stores?
Yeah, where you just like get a shovel and shovel stuff into it.
Yeah.
But you need a mason jar for that. Then
yes, you do, but the one I used to go to in Sydney when I lived here, they had a good policy where it was like, hey,
don't put your dick in it.
No, surprisingly, that was mandatory. That was how you got into the store.
That's how we make the nut butter.
I couldn't find a jar small enough. I got one of those little hotel sample jams. It's like, finally.
Hotel sample jam.
So that's going to be the smallest jar, right? You know what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what I stay at a lot of hotels.
But their policy was bring in, wash your mason jars, bring it in, and we'll have a little exchange shelf. So that way you could get the right one for what you needed. But where I live in the Northern Rivers now, they don't. Like, there's no drop off, and so it's kind of annoying.
People are using them up in the Northern Rivers, I bet. Like, for their kombucha and their whatever else, all the other potions they're making out the back of their house.
Yeah, other potions. You're talking about magic mushrooms.
I mean, all sorts of potions.
Yeah, pretty much.
Nothing but potions, potions and lotions. Get this in you. Lick a frog. Do anything but take a vaccine.
Yeah. We did this last week, didn't we? I got that. So I got that. I got letter dropped. If you haven't heard last week's episode, someone left a anti-vax flyer that was actually pretty well produced.
Made a lot of good points, Charlie. I thought,
but I know there is one lady on my street who is. Have I told the story before about? When I introduced myself to her, she's like, "Oh, what are you doing?" I said, "Oh, I'm an actor, and my wife's a director." And she's like, "Oh, you've got to make a documentary." And I'm like, "About what?" And she's like, "The Scamdemic." And I'm like, "Oh,
yeah, you should."
Yeah. So she,
if you were going to make a Scamdemic, like, because that is a pivot that you have all the ingredients to be able to do.
Yeah,
right?
I've got the skill set to make a loose change style documentary.
Gemma's a director. You're a producer, you're a writer. You are fit. Like, you could tap into that sort of...
Oh, yeah. I don't take vaccines.
Fitness
and
bro
natural
sort of...
immunity.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you've watched enough Liver King.
Bean broth.
Right?
Bone broth. Bean
And
broth.
and you've also watched enough WWE. Because you need a bit of that as well, right?
Totally.
Like, this
Alex
is,
Jones.
Yeah, style. And you make like a...
The Scamdemic.
Yeah. Like, I mean, there was one called Scamdemic, so I don't think you can... We'd have to come up with a... And I think the pandemic's now... done. It has to be something.
A little jab will do ya, and then in brackets in.
Oh, okay.
A little jab will do ya. A little jab will do ya.
A little jab will do ya in.
Too long.
It's like I mean that could be like the tagline.
Jabberwocky, Jabbershocky,
Jabber the.
Jabber this.
Jabber this. It's about how
the WHO are just sluts to the kind of the Bilderberg group. They'll do anything they want.
But hang on, are we pro sluts or against sluts? Because like I don't want to slut.
Well,
shame.
no, not sexual sluts. We're against vaccine
sluts.
It's
like
you just bend over.
Or
for
maybe
any vaccine.
it's an abbreviation. Like maybe it's like it's like scientists loosely.
Oh yeah,
scientists. Lying. Scientists lying.
Underhanded. Tactics. Scientist lies and underhand tactics.
Yeah.
Slut.
Okay. Slut. Yeah.
Shabba the slut.
Shabba the slut. And then asterisk,
Yeah.
and then spell out what the slut says.
It's like the whole poster is us just explaining what all the anagrams
And then
are.
your tag about the jabs, or do your brackets in.
So what would be my angle is like, okay, so generally what these, I've watched quite a few of these conspiracy docs,
Yes.
and it's a lot of it is about promoting your brand.
Yes.
So you've got to make yourself the Nick Broomfield, you know, or the Louis Theroux of the documentary. It's your
Yes.
experience.
Exactly.
Of, you know, and so I would sort of start it during, you'd play some kind of like a montage of COVID, you know, the Australia's
Well, I
going
think what
into
you've got to
lockdown
do, first is you've got to like account for all this, right?
Right.
Because what you already are, who you like have been previously, because the most
I've
powerful,
really got to concentrate to drink this
I know.
messenger. So I don't
the
spoil it.
most powerful thing I think is a repudiation, like an awakening moment, because everyone's had this sort of when they've finally found the truth. So I think you've got to start with, "Hi, I'm Charlie Clausen, and you might have known me from running the beach on Home and Away, or like
Yeah.
riding a horse on McClass." And I was portraying this very healthy lifestyle, but the whole time when I was telling everyone relax, I was actually on the side of the government spending propaganda and lies.
Yeah.
And so you've got to reject
Mea
everyone
culpa.
relax. So everyone shouldn't relax.
Yeah.
That I would, and you kind of do all that first to establish, and then it's about like why you had this awakening, and you
Yeah.
kind of guide people through the awakening.
Or, okay, so there's two options, right? You either go the documentary route where you promote your own brand, and I think that works. Or do you go more that kind of the Sound of Freedom, how there's
Like
those,
make a movie, but
that
then tell
demonises-
everybody that it's like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, actually,
Yeah, like
maybe
that
that's
Kirk
better.
Cameron kind of Jim Caviezel
Uh-huh.
sort of thing of like, we because that way I guess both are works of fiction.
Right.
But maybe one you can sort of
Both are works of
dramatize.
both fiction and propaganda. But
Yeah.
I think that if you have a script, like, because this is an opportunity for you to make a movie that you want to make, but then you just have to like squeeze in enough of this stuff and let people know that this is what the movie is really about.
Yeah.
That they get on board and that you can cash in on.
Well,
that.
I watched a YouTuber made this video about The Sound of Freedom, which is that film about like child trafficking that was made by like a right-wing fundamentalist religious group. And they were saying, and it did really well within that market because the guys who market it, I think they come from an advertising background, and they're all like Christian religious fundamentalists, but they took what was their disadvantage and used that as their marketing advantage, which is like, people don't want you to know the truth. The big studios won't make this film. We're the only ones brave enough to make this film. And so they sort of fed into that ecosystem that by watching this is an act of rebellion. And by buying a ticket to this film, you're actually saving a child.
That's right. Yes.
So I wonder if we could do something like that where it's like, the World Health Organization is this rogue, out of control body that wants to release your medical records, and because it's all leading towards some kind of oppressive new world order government that want to know everything about you and track your every movement. This is a way you can fight back.
Right.
This is how you spread the
because you
word.
can buy a ticket to this regardless of whether
and
you're
some
going to go to
merchandise.
it or
Go to
not.
our Patreon.
Yeah.
Patreon.com/everyone relax. In brackets.
Everyone
Job at the
not.
slot.
Yeah.
In brackets.
In brackets, asterisk. In
Scientists.
brackets,
What do we say?
Scientists,
No,
lies.
Underhanded tactics.
Yeah. Scientists lie. Underhanded tactics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Job at the slot.
Terrible. Yeah. That's fine. It's good.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, so documentary, I think that starts off easy. You're right. So you might know me from blah blah blah, but the whole time I was living a lie. Like you, I was asleep to the world. I was just following doctor's orders. But then something happened in 2020 that changed the world forever. Then you do the montage of blah 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 blah.
And you do all that thing of like, because they always love to say that people are paid actors.
Yeah.
No one more powerful to expose paid actors than someone
another.
who has been paid to be an actor.
Yeah, I'll tell you
right?
some truth. Everyone is a pedophile.
Yeah.
And I'm going to name names.
Every time you buy a ticket,
Yeah.
we release one pedophile's name.
Yeah. And so then I say, so my family and I, we decided to get out of the city. And it was there that, my mind opened for the first time. And then you can start, then you do a montage of all the talking heads, all the experts you're going to be speaking to throughout the course of the documentary.
Because like in Byron Bay too, like the Northern Rivers area, like it's not even like you'll have to travel very far
No.
to like, you'll be able to feel this entire series, I'm saying. Like
Yeah.
not just the film. I feel like this is like a 6-part
Yeah.
series or something, because there are so many people just within driving distance from your house
Yeah.
who would happily sign up to this.
The skill with it,
Mm.
the last sort of big convo I had with someone like that, we talked about on this show, and he was threading the needle with everything. Like it was a massive conspiracy. It wasn't just the vaccine, but it was climate change, all this kind of stuff. So
Okay. How about
we don't want
how
to.
about this? It's all connected.
Yes. Oh, connected is the name of it. Yes, that's right. It's
Con-
all con.
Connected is the name of the movie.
Mark
but then it's
Mitchell as
all
Con the Fruiter on the poster, like doing a face of like,
Yeah.
is it?
But
Like I don't know.
I think-
I'm just asking questions.
I think because Scamdemic was so good because of the wordplay, right?
Yeah.
It's easy just to say, even as a joke, connected, right? Yeah, absolutely.
Connected.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is with neck. No, connected is good.
Yeah.
Connected.
Yeah.
So maybe what we can do is we talk about the vaccine and COVID, and then the floods happen not long after that.
Yes.
So we thread the needle
Coincidence?
between seeding. They do cloud
Oh,
seeding,
yeah.
chemtrails.
When they're doing the chemtrails, they're doing the cloud
and
seeding.
I'm not even
It's
joking.
causing floods and also
You go on the Facebook forum for Byron Bay, and the chemtrails thing happens more often than
a lot of people believe in chemtrails.
I know. A lot of people I know like believe in chemtrails. No, it's
I was in
to various
Melbourne
degrees.
when they were playing the Anzac Day
Oh, yeah.
game, and the Bombers had like a formation, like a military flyover of the ground a couple of times. It was very impressive. But I was like down the street and I saw it, and I said to somebody, I said, "That's chemtrails," and they looked at me like they believed, like they did not know that I was joking.
I've never actually quite understood because I've heard so many different theories
of
on
what chemtrails are.
Yeah, so
Sometimes called contrails as well. So this works
Oh, it does
perfectly with connected.
So is it because I've
This is
heard
pretty
the,
good actually.
the
Connected.
the two theories I've heard are one is like a DNA or genetic modification type
Yep.
thing, like making the world infertile or something like that, and then
Sure.
the other one is more
Not
of
doing a very good job, are they?
no,
heaps of people everywhere.
but then the other one is mind control.
Yeah.
So, okay, chemtrails conspiracy. This is from David Keith's Harvard University Conspiracy Research Group. We received
So weird too, isn't it? That the places where the chemtrails tend to happen the most are also the places where the people don't really seem to have their minds controlled in any way.
Yeah. We received many emails and letters asking about chemtrails. Many expressed deep concern. Some are abusive or threatening. This page gives our views on the topic. This is Harvard.
Who's Harvard?
Yeah, and we need what's a
Harvard.
dismissive
What's Harvard?
Harvard? What's a
Harvard, Harvard. We're going
hardly
up to-
believe you.
Yeah, hardly.
Hardly. Their brains are. It's more of that kind of leftist
Yeah.
academic bullshit. They're being controlled. The communists are paying off the academics
Oh
at
yeah,
universities.
the academics at blah blah blah-vid
I mean, it's funny
university.
too, isn't it? How like the right wing have embraced the conspiracy, like because it used to be they were at opposite ends. Like the right wing conservatives were considered the enemy of the kind of conspiracy because they were the establishment. But now the right wing have swung around to the conspiracy, and so it's the left leaning that are now the kind of establishment. Okay. Chemtrails refer to the theory that the government or other parties are engaged in a secret program to add toxic chemicals to the atmosphere from aircraft in a way that forms visible plumes in the sky. Various different motivations.
It is weird that they make them visible too, isn't it? Isn't it amazing
Yeah,
that they
why
have?
would you do that?
It just seems weird that we can have a clear Coke,
Yeah.
and yet if you were a government organisation trying to secretly mind control people, you wouldn't be able to come up with a clear version of that people couldn't see.
But wouldn't you need, I mean, maybe it's a safety measure to make sure other people on your side don't aren't in the chemtrail zone or don't fly through it. Or
You got to
whatever.
put slight coloration in the
Slight
chemtrails
coloration.
as a.
Just so other people. So people
Couldn't
on
you
your
just like?
side,
Wouldn't it be better to send an email? I suppose you
I
don't
send
want a
an
paper
email.
trail.
Mate, come on. You're so naive. It's alleged spraying to include sterilization, reduction of life expectancy, mind control, or weather control.
Okay, so the first three we can rule out because none of those things have happened.
No. Mass
Like-
sterilization. I mean,
well, also,
okay, no,
okay,
no, con, it's all
right.
connected.
Yeah, okay.
Australia's birth rate
Mhm.
has dropped significantly since the 70s.
That's
I
true.
think it used to be like 2.1 on average, and
Yes.
now it's like under 2, 1.8 or whatever it
Mhm.
is. And I think Will, I
Yeah.
mean, you can live in your fantasy land and say, oh,
It's
that's
that
because
people
of
are having
economic
families
pressures
older
and
and
having
not having huge
families older.
families, and people aren't as
Or
religious as they used to be.
chemtrails, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, wake up.
I mean, it's a good point. When you say it like that, that
You
is a
wanna
much
yell?
more simple solution.
We've seen no credible evidence. Oh, blah, blah, blah.
Oh,
Okay.
blah, blah, blah-vid. At it again.
All right. The chemtrail, because of the apparent similarities between the proposed implementation methods for albedo modification, such as injective reflecting particles into the stratosphere, and the alleged methods for producing chemtrails, some people have linked the notion of chemtrails to the study of albedo modification.
Oh, yeah, albedo modification.
Albedo.
Albedo.
Elbow.
Elbow. Can't
but
spell
can't.
albedo without elbow.
Well, you sort of can. But clearly he had something to do with this.
Yeah.
Okay. If you, but this is from Harvard, they're
Albedo.
asking you, Will,
Yeah.
if you believe in chemtrails,
Oh, yeah.
ask yourself
Okay.
how you can be so certain this is indeed a grand conspiracy.
How can I be so certain this is a grand conspiracy? Well, I watched this great documentary called Connected.
Consider the alternative. Simple explanations. Remember, the internet is filled with people who are completely sure about stuff that just isn't true. Remember that this is such a wet
we're reading this
lettuce
on the
leaf
internet.
to like.
So how can we trust this?
Yeah, that's right.
Right? It's on the internet also.
Remember that while the government can keep secrets that involve only a few people, they do a very bad job of keeping large-scale programs secret.
That is true.
For example, the Russians knew specific details of the Manhattan Project before the first nuclear weapons test. And that was a case where those involved had clear patriotic motivations to keep that secret. If you think that aircraft contrails look different
They do.
or are behaving strangely,
They do.
consider that regular aircraft condensation trails are sometimes long-lasting, and the way they
I
look
will not. I will not consider that. That sounds boring and dumb.
can suddenly change along a flight path as aircraft fly through regions with different temperatures and
Blah, blah,
humidity.
blah, but
It's well understood and has been demonstrated by ground observation and by scientific research, that put a link there, performed by thousands of people over many decades.
okay.
Of course, it's possible, here we go, that something else is going on.
Oh, so you're saying it's possible? So you're saying
But
there's
to
a chance?
prove it, one would need more than a simple photograph of something that looks entirely consistent with normal contrails.
Well, I don't have anything more than that. So that's what I'm going with.
What?
So Harvard hasn't ruled it out.
Hasn't ruled
That's
it
what
out.
I'm hearing.
They're saying there's a chance.
I'm hearing Harvard says there is a possibility the government is controlling us with chemtrails.
Where do you think it came from? Like, who do you think started it?
I mean, people would start dumb things all the time.
But why? Like, but that's what I'm interested with conspiracy theories. Is like quickly law builds up around it, and chemtrails existed before the internet, as far as I can tell, because I remember hearing
They
about
have
it
that
in the
feels like
90s.
one of the original ones, but that's looked to the skies. Human beings have always looked to the skies for the gods were in the skies, or the astrology, is because of the stars. Like
What
we've
year
always
do you think it started? What was the first reported incident of a
of
chemtrail? report?
chemtrail. Well, I mean,
It's in our lifetime.
well, also,
it's actually probably
I would imagine it's like within our lifetime because you need both a plane and the capacity to shoot something out the back of a plane. So it's got to be, I would have said the 70s.
later.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
The
a really good
80s.
time in our lives.
Oh, the 2000s?
Oh, probably better than the 2000s for some of us. For me specifically, the 90s, 1996 specifically.
You're saying that the 90s were better for you than the 2000s?
I think so. Well, less
Really?
responsibility, more fun. I mean, 2000s were fun. But when I think about the
Most
90s, I
of
think
the
I consider
2000s
myself
were
a
the
90s.
Really?
Yeah. What do you you're not a 2000s.
I consider the most fun I had to be in the 2000s, I think.
Yeah.
Like I was 25 when in the year 2000 or
I
26,
guess.
right?
I mean,
So
I
that
don't know.
I reckon 25 to 35 is the
if it's
most fun that I've ever had in my life. If I'm taking 10-year blocks, I think I had more fun between 25 and 35 than I did between 20 and 30.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah.
Definitely had more fun. I think it's more sort of romanticizing the, when you're a teenager, that's when you find the music you like and the movies you like, and you start getting those friends. that
Yeah,
are
but
gonna
you
be your
also have
friends for life.
pimples all over your
Oh, yeah,
back
and no
like
cash.
no cash and
Yeah,
like
gotta go to uni
live on a
still.
farm, have to milk cows.
So the late 90s, the USAF was accused of spraying the US population with mysterious substances from an aircraft, generating unusual contrail patterns. The theories were posted on internet forums. There you go.
So
there's
the internet is basically
Yeah.
responsible for this.
Has the internet given us anything good?
Things that felt good immediately and then later on have turned out to be no good
Yeah.
is what mostly the internet
What's
has
the
given
best
us.
thing the internet's given us? YouTube. Podcasting, YouTube. I mean, I know some people hate YouTube because
Some
of the
people hate
algorithm and stuff.
podcasting.
No one hates podcasting. People either like it or
Podcasting
they're
is a joke.
indifferent.
It's a butt of a joke.
But they don't hate it. No one
I think
hates it.
people do. I
Oh,
think
podcast.
Oh, you got a podcast, do you?
I mean,
Started another
that's
podcast.
they hate you. They don't hate podcasting. They hate you.
I mean,
I don't think the podcast has anything to do with it. From the way you're describing it, you've got a podcast.
You.
The emphasis on
you,
you.
Will Anderson.
It's not like, you've got a
No.
podcast.
No, I mean, I hear this in popular culture.
Yeah, I think
It's become a bit, you started a podcast, did you? Or they've got a podcast.
I think
or people in a movie, they try to do a storyline that has a podcast and everyone rolls their eyes because, or there's a character in
called Ghostbusters called podcast.
Yeah.
I think that has turned. I agree that was a shtick. It was an easy target.
Yeah.
Everyone does a podcast, but I think because of the rise and fall of podcasting,
Now not everyone has a podcast again.
exactly.
There was peak podcast. There was a podcast
high
boom.
Visibility.
We are back in a podcast bust again.
Yeah,
Nestled in the bust.
So I don't think people hate. I don't think people hate it. Like I'm trying to think of. There's certain podcasts that maybe Gemma and I have been on a road trip they've put on. She's like, I don't want to hear these people talking anymore. But that's not the genre or the medium.
It's so funny, isn't it? That like, I do think post pandemic that even I think we did need that connection with people in a way that perhaps we don't need it again as the world has opened up as much. And I've found it myself. There's podcasts that I was listening to a lot during that time and were particularly giving me something that I needed during that time, that when I see that podcast pop up in my feed now, I'm flipping by it because whatever it was giving me, I don't specifically need at the moment. And of course, that's more natural. That's a natural balance of, and I think with the internet, like more broadly, I think that's just what we've got to get to a place where we're just using it as a part of our life more. I think it came in and it offered so much and we spent so much time there because we were like, this is amazing. Look at all the incredible stuff that it can do. But then after a while, you're like, yeah, okay, but it's a lot of hype and a lot of promise. And you do actually, and a lot of distraction, but maybe like it just should be something that is part of your life, not all of your life.
Yeah, it's interesting with Iona, like seeing, like trying to regulate her online time and stuff. Like there's YouTube Kids now, which is, it's just fucking amazing to think about, like what we grew up with, and if we wanted to watch something, and the boredom that would sink in when something was on that you didn't like, but you just have to sit with it. She doesn't have that anymore. You know, she can go into YouTube Kids, and if that video is not interesting her, she's on to the next one. But because of that, it's like, it's the, that dopamine release is so potent. We have to like very much limit her screen time. But it's that constant question of, well, they're growing up in a world in which the internet's a thing, in which people are on screens, and she sees her mum and dad on their phone all the time or on their laptops or whatever. So how do you drip feed and and the puppy has definitely been a part of that motivation, is like, I want her, because she's actually pretty good. Like, and
But you've got to. So I heard Jimmy Carr talk about this. Speaking of podcasts, it's so funny. I listened to Jimmy Carr he's got a new Netflix special, and look, I'm not always a fan of everything that Jimmy does, but I love hearing him talk about the world. He's a really interesting dude, and even if I don't agree with him, I always like his point of view. But I always love listening to someone when they're on a publicity tour just to see how many like crossover points he makes on Mark Maron versus Pete Holmes' podcast and stuff. But one of the things that came up twice, but I thought it was a really interesting point, was he has a theory that we've taken out the kids. Like part of human development is risk, our desire to take risks, and particularly when we're younger, we're driven by this idea of that's that idea of climbing on something or jumping off something. And then we take those risks throughout our lives. We want these thrills and it's part of it. And as we've made the real world safe, like almost overprotected and safe for kids, the only way they can actually find risk is now online as well, like that it is full of risk, and that is actually appealing. That's part of the appeal, is the risk of it. And so that you've almost got to allow a bit more, which the puppy is partly taking a risk, putting a bit more risk into the real world as opposed to the online world. And I think it's really important. That was one of those things where I was like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense, that you've got to make sure that they're getting what they need in terms of compelling reasons to be on the outside world, rather than being totally protected from the outside world.
Yeah, well, it's also that thing of boredom, right? Like getting used to boredom, and boredom's being okay, and that sometimes you are just bored, and you have to either find things to do or just be okay sitting with that boredom.
Just think,
yeah,
just let your brain run.
But it's the what is rules for thee, not for me. It's really hard to not be a hypocrite in this situation, because the temptation for me to reach for my phone in a moment of boredom is so high. So try to enforce kind of in my house there was a rule that we weren't allowed to watch TV in the morning before school. We could get a little bit of TV when we got home from school before dinner, and then homework, and then maybe a bit of TV before bed, but I don't really remember. And so we noticed, well, it was mainly when Gemma was away and I was parenting on my own, because it's fucking difficult to wrangle a kid and get him ready and stuff. And so if I just got her on the iPad, then I could make her breakfast.
Of course, yeah.
And then I could jump in the shower.
Makes sense.
Total sense.
Yeah.
But it was fucking her up. She was just getting super addicted to the iPad, and it wasn't putting her in a good state of mind. And then she's just getting obsessed with wanting, she would wake up early because she wanted to watch the iPad. And so it was kind of a brutal kind of few days where we just had to sort of put our foot down and say, no, no iPad. I'll get up with you. I'll play with you. We'll get your arts and crafts set up. But it was amazing how quickly her brain reset. And then now she doesn't really ask for it in the morning. And now there's some afternoons even where she gets home. And I'm quite willing, if she's had a full day at daycare, to be okay, half an hour of iPad while I make dinner is fine. But it's good because she'll come back from daycare and she's been playing with her mates, and maybe they're making something or playing some game, and she wants to continue that. Or she wants to help Dad make dinner, which I'm also cool with as well. It's but there's just these kind of lapses that you're going to have. And I talk to my friends who, once the kids get to school and you got 2 weeks of school holidays and you're working from home and you're still trying to get shit done and trying to if you got more than one kid, especially, and trying to keep them off iPads and have them not fight with each other, it's it's a real difficult
But this
scenario.
is also this is where this danger risk stuff comes from, which is in my day, that was just see ya, 9 o'clock in the morning, be back, by the time the sun goes down.
Yeah.
And that was what we did as kids. You rode your bikes around, or you played in the haystack, or if you were in on a holiday, at the beach, you went and found some other kids and made up some games and did whatever it is that you would do in that situation. But obviously, whether society is or isn't more dangerous than it used to be, there's a heightened awareness of that it is harder to do that now.
I think there was a great podcast. They were talking, I can't remember, Invisibilia.
Podcast.
You've
got a podcast, do you, mate? All right.
Invisibilia, where they talked about this one town in particular where it's actually a lot safer than it was 20 or 30 years
Yes.
ago. But the coverage of bad events has made parents. And
Yeah.
so it was this juxtaposition of these parents who had grown up. It was all framed around there was this wood in this town that all the parents who lived there now, when they were kids, they would play in, but now none of the kids play in there because the parents are scared of something bad happening. Because
Yes.
I'm sure bad stuff does happen from time to time. And it's like, well, what has changed this mindset where we trusted, our parents trusted us and we managed to survive this, but now
Law and Order.
the TV show
yeah,
Law and Order?
Yeah, like 40 seasons of Law and Order of everyone getting murdered every week.
Kidnapped.
Yeah.
Well, I guess, yeah, I mean,
But I don't mean Law and Order specifically, but I mean so much media coverage, not only on the news of these
well,
sort of
there's
things
also
happening,
stuff that that our parents allowed us to do that in retrospect, you're like, oh, wow. Like that was, and they just, because they didn't know any better,
No.
like that thing of just opening the doors and, as kids, because I'm 1 and 9, like by the time mum got to me, she was like,
yeah.
whatever you
Like-
want to do. Like, I don't,
you
you'll
know
be
what?
fine. Like the other
If a
eight made
stranger
it.
wants to give you lollies,
Yeah.
I'm not giving you any.
But truthfully, like I remember really clearly me and my sisters, like on a school holidays or something like that, riding down to the beach, and there was this surf club there, and it was a really windy, cold, wet day, so there was no one at the beach, and we were riding around on our bikes, and my sisters, I was annoying them, so they rode off and they left me there on my own, and this man emerged from the toilets and was trying to get me to go into the toilets with him. And I was like, and I had enough sense. I didn't know what was going on, but I had enough sense to know you don't go with strangers. And I rode back home and told like my mum, but my sisters, because they didn't want to get in trouble for leaving, they accused me of lying. So I retracted my story because I was like, in the face of like such
my
grilling
God.
cross-examination. But no one was at fault there. Like it was just like,
Well, the guy was.
well, the guy was at fault. Well, who knows? I mean, he may have had a genuine
reason
reason
to lure
to
a
lure a
child into a
10-year-old
toilet. Yeah.
into the toilet.
No, you're right.
Like maybe
Might have had a real.
he dropped his wallet
Just,
into
yeah.
the toilet.
You
Needed
need
small
tiny little
hands
hands.
to get into the S bend.
Yeah.
I mean, like, because I've actually replayed that in my mind quite a bit, and I honestly don't know. Like, it didn't feel sinister. Like, I don't remember. Like, in my mind, it was just an old man who had an inquiry. I
Yes,
couldn't quite
because
hear
you
him.
didn't put anything sinister on it. But I think if you were viewing it again today, you would just think
Or
this is
I mean, or could it
whatever he needs help with.
he doesn't need it from a
From-
7-year-old.
Yeah, and also you can come out here if you need a 7-year-old to help you with something. You can't bend
Well,
over
my
to
memory
tie
of it
your
was he
shoe or
emerged
whatever.
from the toilet and,
Yeah.
he walked up because I'm on the
Ah.
beach, and he walked from the toilets and he came up to the edge of the beach, and he was asking me something I couldn't hear because it's so windy.
Yeah.
And I was saying, what? And he was asking me something, and then I...
Have you ever seen an elephant?
A white-eared elephant. He walked one direction. No, I walked one direction, and he walked that direction, and then I walked that, and then I mean, he's sort of mirroring my
Oh yeah,
movements.
no, nothing sus.
Yeah, I guess it was.
It's so
suspect.
sus. It's like so sus.
Well, maybe I'm always willing
It's
to give
like a
people
repressed memory.
I'm always willing to give people the benefit of the doubt, even potential child.
Anyway, you know where there's no bad people? The
Where?
internet. So get them on an iPad, and everything will be fine.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's fucking worse.
Yeah, it's heaps worse. It's full of
Groomers and
people trying to
weird, creepy people
lure you
pretending
into the
that they're
public toilet.
12-year-olds.
Yeah.
And yeah, right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess there's no.
Anyway,
one to-
this is TOFOP. Thanks for listening. We've got a Patreon page.
In my
You know.
mind, I'm like, how can I nuke my
This
fucking
has been-
my internet
It's
connection?
been a real journey, this episode. We started with just the fun of two guys in one trench coat trying to pretend
Oh my
to be-
god! I even forgot we started that way. You're right. Why don't we get to a little bit of
Yes.
mail?
Oh, we got mail?
We've got heaps of mail.
Okay,
but we'll
let's
just
get through some
we'll-
mail.
We'll just this is an old one, and I
Yeah.
just wanted to. This comes back to your performance at the Adelaide Fringe.
Oh, yeah.
So I wanted to get to it before it got
Okay,
too
sure.
out of date. It's from Alicia.
Keys?
No,
Yeah.
well maybe no surname.
Mm.
Hi, long-time listener to most of the pods.
Okay.
What do you think Alicia
Interesting.
does not listen to?
Two Guys, One Cup, an AFL related podcast.
She's from Adelaide, though. Big South Australia, big football town.
Maybe that's why, though. Maybe she's anti-football because it's too football focused.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. I introduced my son to TOFOP during year 12 to help him relax
Everyone relax.
before going to bed.
Mm-hmm.
He's a longtime fan of Gruen and loved Will's books also. So I took him to the Hobart I Am Not Okay event last year.
Okay.
Anyway, he's the kid that Will had a bit of a riff with during the Adelaide Fringe sessions. Do you remember this?
Yeah, who's moved to... interesting. Yeah, I do remember this because specifically I
So it's
found
okay
out...
for you to talk to a kid, but that guy was talking to me at the beach that day.
There was a lot of witnesses. There was a tent full of witnesses. But I do
And you
think...
didn't emerge from
also,
it.
I do think at one point... Well, backstage at Adelaide Fringe is not dissimilar to emerging from a toilet. So it's a fine line. But yes, no. So young person there by himself. He was at University O Week studying in Adelaide. And so I got a bit of the backstory. He had moved there from Hobart and come over by himself, come to the show during his O Week.
Well, you made his night.
Oh, nice.
So Mum Alicia was just writing in to say thanks. I mean, that's a good, maybe that's what you should be leaning on to get more like Patreon subscribers or something, is parents. If you listen to the show and you're a fan and you're a parent, like round about 15 plus, start introducing.
Mate, I've got to be honest with you. I'm starting to see it in my shows.
Kids.
As in kids who've been introduced by their parents.
Oh, good.
The generation...
Fuck, maybe this is the cash
This is
cow
it.
we've been
I
looking
feel
for.
like
It's
if
the
we're
long
just
game.
holding out,
Yeah.
it just feels like it's starting now that there's enough distance between, like, you know, like, because you go through that period of like you're young and cool and hip and whatever, and you get a bit older, and then of course newer, younger people come along, and young people don't want to be associated with the people who've been there forever. They want to like be associated with the new cool people.
Yeah.
But then if you last long enough, if you can just get through that period, you get that next wave again of the young people who are kind of discovering the bands that their parents were into. We're like that equivalent.
Yeah.
I just feel like we just got to get through this like next
Hump. We're going to survive.
We
this
do,
bit.
yes. Like, I mean, obviously, if you are a parent, maybe just some incidental listening. Maybe even because there's nothing a teenager likes more than being told they shouldn't be listening to something.
Yeah.
So
right.
if you're listening
Oh,
to
you can't listen to
TOFOP,
this.
turn it off
Turn
when
it
they
off.
come in.
Yeah.
Add a bit of mystery. Don't try to like force it on them because I don't think that'll...
Did your parents ever try to like lay down the law with you about like music or TV shows that you were
My
allowed to
dad's
watch?
never bought an album or listened to music ever in his entire life. So no.
It was all open slather.
Like, not once.
I remember once.
My dad, who, when famously at the AFL Grand Final, Meatloaf is meant to be, like, famously the worst performance ever at the AFL Grand Final. My father, who was there with me, we were quite near where Meatloaf was when he was singing, turned to me and said, "Was it meant to sound like that?" Even he kind of knew that wasn't how it was meant to sound. My mother had 3 albums when I was growing up.
Okay.
3 albums.
The Seekers?
One of them may have even been the Seekers. I can
Yeah.
remember 2 of them distinctly. I can't remember what the... Oh, no, it wasn't. I can remember what the 3 are now. Yeah.
Okay. What? Was
So
it the
one of
60s?
them was
70s.
actually 4. She had 4 albums
Vinyl.
that I can remember. 4 vinyl albums that I can remember growing up. So I reckon one of them was an album that 1 in every 3 Australian households had at one stage. Was the
Skyhooks?
statistic?
No.
No, not an Australian act.
Oh.
An act that is still very popular as a worldwide touring act. And one of their songs has been particularly associated with sporting events in Australia, but also worldwide.
Okay.
It's a song that gets sung, like one of this.
Yeah.
But this person has a huge catalogue of songs, but one of their songs is a huge football sing-along song.
It's a individual. It's a singer.
It's an individual, yes.
Singer-songwriter.
Correct. Yes.
Mums
love this person.
This person.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking like Elton John's going to be too bawdy for your mum. Maybe just a little too.
I think this person was also seen as a bit of a sex symbol to
Tom Jones.
Yeah, in that zone, but not Tom
Engelbert
Jones.
and Humperdinck.
Not Engelbert Humperdinck. Think a bigger star than Engelbert Humperdinck. Tom Jones level stardom.
Rod Stewart.
Rod Stewart, good areas as well, but not Rod Stewart.
Man.
Think
Elvis Presley?
Think pressure. What?
What? Freddie Mercury?
Oh, sorry, that's two. I've given you two.
David
No,
Bowie?
this was more a cryptic clue. Think
All right.
pressure. What does pressure make?
Diamond, Neil.
Neil Diamond.
Neil
Hot
Diamond.
August Night. Apparently, 1 in 3 Australian households owned that.
We had that. We
album
had
at one
that
point.
album.
Yeah.
We are one of
Great
those
album.
three. Yeah, it
Hot
is.
August Night. Sweet Caroline, of course. I mean, Crunchy Granola Sweet. Yeah, I Am I Said. It's like so many good songs.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's one. Another one is a group that
Worst
were,
album cover. What is going on in the Hot August? Do you remember the album cover photo? It's Neil kind of mid convulsion. It's like why did you of all the shots that were
because
taken?
it was a hot August night.
I guess.
Also, back then, I'm not sure they took a lot of shots. It was real hard to get.
Yeah, that's right. Because film cameras back then, you could only take one photo.
Yeah, that was it. That's all we got. All right. The other one was a group that was huge in.
Well, your mum going for Neil Diamond is kind of surprised because he's pretty sexy.
Yeah,
now
but
it's making
sexy,
me
but
rethink your
also
mum.
sexy,
Safe.
but also safe. I think, yeah, safe and sexy. This one's more safe.
Okay.
Group that was hugely popular in Australia, like an international group, but like hugely popular in Australia. In fact, I think Australia might have been the country that was they had the biggest outside their own country.
ABBA.
ABBA,
Yep.
correct. She had an ABBA album.
Yep.
Then an artist that I've already mentioned on this.
Okay.
Very recently.
Meatloaf.
Meatloaf.
Your mum had Bat Out of Hell.
Bat Out of Hell by Meatloaf. Hot August Night.
ABBA.
ABBA.
I can't
And
get a
one more.
read on.
Now, this last one you will never get
Okay.
in a million years, I reckon.
Okay,
But,
what artist
the best,
from where?
the
What
best,
country?
the best clue I can give you is. In fact, I think maybe this might. If I give you this clue, when you said Engelbert Humperdinck, what is if I said who's the female Engelbert Humperdinck? Who would
Nana Mouskouri.
Wow! That's good. Well
I
done.
think it's when you grow up in our era, there was certain because I'm sure we had a Nana Mouskouri, and I'm like, how is
I don't
this
even
woman?
know what Nana Mouskouri really is.
Nana Mouskouri, she had a thick black, like she's the
remember
most
that.
un-pop star looking
Yeah.
pop star. And
But
I think
what was Nana Mouskouri's
big song?
big song?
I don't know, Nana Mouskouri. If you had to guess what her
You Don't Bring Me Flowers, but that's like Barbara Streisand or someone.
Nana Mouskouri.
But it feels like that's the sort of
you
vibe
spell it like
of-
Nana Mouskouri.
I reckon there's not going to be a whole bunch of. I reckon it should autocomplete Nana Mouskouri. You would have thought.
I have no internet. Hang on, let me try again.
Okay.
This is
Nana, I mean, even
we
just
are
saying
in
it, Nana Mouskouri.
Nana Mouskouri. It sounds like a punchline. And
Yeah.
I remember at high school it kind of was a punchline. Like if you wanted to tease a guy, you'd say, you love Nana Mouskouri. Okay,
Yeah.
Nana Mouskouri, spelt like Nana.
Yep.
She's Greek. She's born in 1934. She's a singer and politician.
Oh, yeah.
She's released, how many albums do you think she's released?
Oh, heaps.
Yeah.
I reckon heaps.
Guess, number.
I know that like Aha like released or one of those bands released like so 40. Let's say 40. Higher 80. Higher 120. Higher. Shut up.
I'm telling you.
156 albums. 200 albums.
200 albums.
Shut up.
Absolutely.
That cannot be true.
And she did that in languages including Greek, French, English, German, Dutch, Portuguese, Italian, Japanese,
Okay.
Spanish, Hebrew, Welsh, Mandarin, Chinese, and Corsican.
Okay, so they're counting. So one album translated into like.
So you're dismissing the Moscou. The Moscou.
No, I think that's even
Oh.
more impressive.
Hey, do you know what her real first name is?
Daughter Mouskouri.
Iona.
Iona
Iona.
Mouskouri.
Iona.
Really?
Yeah, Iona.
Oh,
Nana.
okay.
It's shortened to Nana Mouskouri. It's not spelt the same as Iona, but it's very
Okay.
close.
Yeah.
That's so weird. Okay, so she started in the 60s. White
What's
Rose
her-
of Athens
Uh-huh.
was her first song.
What's
She-
her biggest song?
1963, she represented Luxembourg in Eurovision with the
Okay.
song A Forced Appear. Doesn't say what her biggest song. Oh, God, there's so many of them. No number ones that I can see.
No number one.
And number two was a French song.
Nana
Na, na,
Mouskouri,
na, na,
Nana
Mouskouri.
Mouskouri, Nana.
Na 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 na. Hey hey. Oh, number 2. She had a. It's all her big hits seem to be in other languages.
Okay.
Tragudia apota elakina.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
probably.
Yep.
I am definitely butchering
No,
that.
no, that's exactly how it.
In 2011, reached number 2 on the charts in
Okay.
what country? In Greece.
Okay.
Any Australian number ones?
Yeah. Why was Nana Mouskouri
Big
so
in
popular in
Australia.
Australia?
Yeah, ask
Can
your
you
mum.
can you Google that? Why was Nana Mouskouri big in Australia?
She had an album. All right, let's relate. I'm going to read you the English,
Mhm.
some of the English titles of
Okay.
her albums. They're long. Well, we thought scientists, liars, underhanded tactics, Jabba the Slut was a
Yeah.
long title. In New York, The Girl from Greece Sings was her first album.
But it's probably like in New York, the girl from Greece sings.
The Exquisite, Nana Mouskouri, was the
Oh,
name of her
yes.
first album. Turn on the Sun, 1970.
Turn on the sun.
That
feels
has
like
two
a-
meanings. Turn on, I mean, that sounds
Oh.
like a category on Pornhub, doesn't it?
Turn on the
Turn
sun.
on the sun.
Yeah. MILFs who like to
Stepmom.
turn on suns. Turn on the stepson.
Nana Mouskouri's Grand Gala. She's just got one called British Concert.
Yeah, okay.
Nana, not trying there. Nana gave 0 fucks by 1972.
Uh-huh.
Greatest hits, of course. Christmas with Nana Mouskouri. This album is called Songs from Her TV Series. They're very literal. Maybe that's because she's singing in all these different
Yeah,
languages.
exactly. So
need
you
to
can't
cut
have
through.
like puns or wordplay.
Yeah, well, except Turn on the Sun.
But I mean, it's not like a Nana Mouskouri like pun, is what I mean.
Yeah,
like like you
Nana in
Mouskourious,
pajamas.
or yeah, Nana, yeah,
That's
Yes.
like a
Nana.
Nana in Holland.
Mm-hmm.
An album just called Passport, Roses and Sunshine, Come With Me.
Mm-hmm.
The very best of Nana Mouskouri. That was in 1981. It
The
felt like
very best.
It felt like there was
Not
a
just
lot
the
more to
best,
go.
the very best.
She's got 2 songs. In 1986, she had an album called Only Love Songs. In 87, she released another album called Why Worry, but with no question mark. So, is that a statement?
Why?
Can you ask why without it being a question?
Why?
Why worry?
Why worry?
Why worry? No, it's always going to be a question, doesn't it?
I mean,
Why worry?
I guess.
Unless you are worrying about why, that would be a why worry, and that's not a question. Like, I'm always worried.
But what if
Will, about
y
the
equals
why.
worry? Then
It's a why worry. This album, 87, she's just gone Metallica's Blackout. Nana.
I thought you literally were like she did a cover version of
Enter
Metallica's
the
Black
Sandman.
Album.
No. A Voice from the Heart, The Magic of Nana Mouskouri.
Yeah.
The classic.
That would be great if that one was her doing magic, though.
Yeah.
Just like pick a card. Pick a card, any card.
Taylor Swift is prolific.
Uh-huh.
Nana Mouskouri released 3 albums in 1988.
Is she
and
still
then
with us, Nana? Like, is she deceased or is she still alive, Nana Mouskouri?
she's 89,
No.
living in Greece, in Crete. She's crate
In
training.
a crate, she's crate training.
In Greece.
You know what I love about this is I would love if she went back and did all 200 albums, Nana's versions,
Oh, yeah.
Taylor Swift style.
Just to get the copyright
Yeah.
so she can own it. She released her final greatest hits album
Mm.
in 2002, just called Gold.
Okay.
And Homages was another one. She's had several best ofs. I have no idea. So why is she
Okay.
popular in Australia?
Yeah. Why was Nana Mouskouri
Why was
popular in Australia?
Nana Mouskouri. Oh, we had a big Greek population. That could be why.
Yeah. But why did a Nana Mouskouri album find its
Here we
way
go.
to
It's
Anderson's
actually
Road
it's the
in
third
Denison?
search on Google. Why is she popular in Australia? Nana Mouskouri was immensely popular in Australia, and her concerts in 1974 were well received by audience. Her captivating voice and stage presence made her a beloved artist in the country.
Yeah.
Well, you could say that for anyone, though.
I know, but why? Yeah, why specifically Australia? Like, why was she? Like, why? Like, think about it. Those top 3 there: Neil Diamond, ABBA, Meatloaf. Still 3 of the biggest, like acts in the entire world, particularly of the time. And then Nana Mouskouri, the 4th one. How has Nana made that list?
Says here, so, okay, this is she went on Q&A.
The
I'm
ABC
assuming the
TV show
ABC
Q&A?
I think so.
That can't be right.
Yeah,
When?
it says here in 2015, the popular panel...
In 2015,
Yep.
Nana Mouskouri was a guest on the ABC's
Hang on.
Q&A.
The popular panel discussion show returns tonight. Relive
yeah.
last week's discussion that gave some attention to Greece's economic and political situation thanks to Nana Mouskouri's inclusion.
Oh, so you said she was
as
a politician now.
Nana Mouskouri overshadowed many of the Q&A panelists this week
Yes.
as the Greek songstress chimed in on numerous Australian topics like children in detention, tax evasion,
Nana
and
Mouskouri.
distrust in politics.
Oh my God.
The octogenarian singer and former member of the EU Parliament appeared on the ABC panel show while in Australia to perform a number of concerts.
Wow.
Mouskouri's defining moment on the show was when she prevailed over the political psychobabble and gave her views on children in detention. Having worked as a UNICEF ambassador, Mouskouri was visibly shocked to discover that Australia had a current record of keeping children in detention.
Oh.
I'm surprised for Australia. I didn't know. The world needs a little more humanity, she said. Mouskouri also said under no circumstances should children be in detention and called for the government to change tack. Let's put some humanity into the laws and really protect the children. You're playing with the lives that are going to build a better world, so give them a chance to do that. Holy shit. Mouskouri was joined on the panel by Ed Husick, Van Badham, Parliamentary Secretary Kelly O'Dwyer, and blah, 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 blah. In light of the heated anti-Islamic protests across Australia, Mouskouri drew parallels to Greece's neo-fascist party, the Golden Dawn, and admitted she was worried about their popularity. She saw this coming. Mouskouri replied, "No, I cannot reason with them. But, the problem is that people have voted and so they're in the parliament." As a true pacifist, Mouskouri hoped of reaching a solution through the discourse and not receiving each other as enemies.
Mouskouri also said that there was a pandemic coming. That was all a plan. And
it's
was
all
connected.
Well, of course, comes back to Mark Mitchell, the most famous Greek of all time. Okay, that is a TOFOP for this week. We gave Ella Patreon a shout out. It would really be great if you could go and join our
us,
Patreon. Patreon.com/.
Things aren't great here at TOFOP HQ at the moment.
We need to keep the lights on.
Everyone can't relax. Look, it's a bit of a tough time in the world of podcasting. We're trying our best to, make it all work financially. But yes, if you do have, I know cost of living for everyone is really difficult at the moment across everything. So for those who do support us, we super appreciate it. For those, if you have, as much as you could give.
Yes.
That's why we try to make everything on our Patreon
It's all whatever you
accessible
sign
to
up
everybody.
For. Yep.
Is like, we understand that not everybody can give to certain levels. You can sign up for as little as you can sign up for and get access to everything that is there.
And you can also chat with me because from time to time I go into the chat room.
Absolutely not.
And not Will.
Not me.
And I actually asked, I went in last week and I said, hey, look, we want to give you guys value for money.
Yes.
We want to bring more people in. What do you want to see? Everyone's basically, look, more of the same. They want to see more videos and stuff.
Yes,
So I think
okay.
we'll start uploading maybe some philosophy videos to the Patreon as well. So
And this is why we're in the same studio. Again, we're doing these like bulk records.
Yeah.
This one was bananas. And just for people who are listening to it, and by Nana Mouskouri, for the people who are listening to it, this is our first one of a long day of recording. So strap yourself in.
Are you on tour?
I am on tour. Will Legitimate is the name of my show, and I am incredibly proud of it. I'm having such a great time. By the time, when are people hearing this? Where are we up to?
Is this
schedule?
next week
Is
or the
this-
week after?
First week of May, 8th of May.
First a week of May, which means that they may. What date is today? They may. First week of May. They may be able to see me at the Brisbane Comedy Festival. If not, then after that, Sydney Comedy Festival definitely.
Yeah.
At the Enmore and the Concourse in Chatswood, and then after that, the Perth Comedy Festival and a whole bunch of other places as well. They are all on sale, comedy.com.au.
And I should also plug, I'm doing Alexi's show, The Last Video Store, tomorrow, so that may be out by the time people hear this. So
yeah, I had a whole bunch of podcasts that I did during the Comedy Festival, Confessions,
That's an understatement.
Little Dum Dum Club, Flight, Luke Heggie and
Mid-Flight Brawl.
Nick Cody's show. I did some other ones as well. But anyway, there's a whole bunch of those that are floating around. So if you want to hear some other stuff as well, it's all out there.
All right. I'm Charlie Clausen.
I'm Will Anderson.